Thursdays with Abie is one of those episodes of The Simpsons where if I try and point out specific things that I like, there really isn't that much that I want to mention. But while watching it, I enjoyed the experience. So it's one of those episodes where it's an overall feeling of enjoyment, but not necessarily one where I would quote it or there are specific bits of animation that I loved, although there is one bit that I did laugh out loud at. It is a spoiler, so I'll save that for the end. This is the 9th episode of the 21st season of The Simpsons, directed by Mike Frank Polcino, and the main narrative focuses on this journalist writing columns sharing Abe's stories. Grandpa Simpson will tell him stories. Grandpa's obviously very delighted that he finally has somebody who's actually willing to listen to his ramblings. And Homer initially seems like he's jealous, but Marge helps him to realise that actually it could be a feeling of guilt for never actually spending proper time with Grandpa. And I won't say what happens with that narrative, but it was an unexpected direction. I don't think I love the direction it took, but I love what it brought for Homer and Abe. And we got some really good scenes between the two of them. So the journey might not have been the best, but the destination was pretty good, and I think Homer gave a pretty admirable performance, and I rather enjoyed that side of it. So really, no complaints. Again, nothing specific that I want to mention, apart from the last thing that Homer is talking about. I won't spoil it, but you'll know what I mean when you get to it. I think that was a really nice way to round things off. But other than that, it was a nice part of the narrative. We also have Bart looking after Larry the lamb. Larry is the class's soft toy. It's a sheep, it's a lamb, and Bart is looking after it. He's not very nice to it. There's this brilliant bit early on where the Simpsons family are all in the kitchen and Bart's just in the background flipping Larry on a frying pan over the oven, which is just so funny. But something happens to Larry, and Larry's future is at stake. And I'll say no more about that just now. But with a spoiler warning in a moment, I will mention one bit that I thought was brilliantly done. But yeah, it was fine. It was unusual for Bart to even be willing to spend time with this soft toy. But everybody in the class, even Nelson, liked this soft toy, which I think was a nice way of saying, hey, you're never too old for stuffed animals, which I thought worked quite well. Lisa had an interesting role to play in that part of the narrative. I don't think it would have worked anywhere near as well had she not been involved the way she was. So that ticked all the right boxes as well. No complaints. Well animated. Skinner's mother has a rather interesting recurring role in this that I thought was pretty fun. As with the other part of the narrative, nothing about it that I don't think didn't work. Nothing I think should have been done differently. So it's all very good. Not many things that I think are specific highlights though. It's all good. And that's fine. I don't need every Simpsons episode to be full of memorable quotes and fantastic bits of animation and, witty dialogue. Sometimes it's nice to just have a couple of fun stories. The Abe story is quite heartfelt, and that did work quite well. And as I said, there is one bit I laughed out loud at, so this is the last thing I'm going to say about this episode. So this is a spoiler warning for something that happens with the Larry part. So spoilers from now. It was just the timing of it was so perfect. It's the bit where Bart is in the sewers and he's holding onto Larry's legs to slide down the pipe. And just at the perfect moment, Larry shreds and his stuffing fluff flies everywhere. It was just the timing of it. It was so perfectly done and just the way it was animated. So that bit in particular is something that I think is worthy of note. But other than that, it was just generally a pretty decent episode. It'll never be a favourite, but it's one I'd always be happy to watch.